Hi everybody, just a quick video regarding the rulings that Hippler put out, which was on my Friday morning regarding the alternative perpetrator and the continuance. Starting off with the title of my video, Pollice, Verso, Hippler, Revels and his role as emperor, right? What is Pollice Verso? Or if you're a purist and you like it in Latin, Pollice Verso. I think it sounds nicer in Italian, so that's how I'm going to say it. We've all watched Gladiator, right, with Russell Crowe. This is the signal that either the emperor or the editor, who was the person, the individual in charge of organising the gladiatorial contest, this is the signal they would use to ultimately decide someone's fate. So it was either this or it was this. And Hippler, he handed down some rulings, and this was his ruling, right? Now that sounds terrible, but I don't think it's as bad as it seems. I think there was a lot of positive outcomes in those two documents. And like many rulers and many Caesars, you can either get a Caligula or you can get a Marcus Aurelius. And I tend to think that Mr. Stephen Hippler is more of the benevolent kind. I think he's embracing his role as the chief fact finder in this trial, and he's embracing that leadership role. He doesn't want his case kicked off to an appellate court. He doesn't want it to be continued. He doesn't want to take the death penalty off the table. He clearly thinks that it should be there, right? He's obviously privy to information that we are not. So he, in his mind, he's like, we're all professionals here and we can get to the bottom of this without wasting any more time. And to be honest, I think that's admirable. I hope I don't eat my words later. So let's just get to some of the things that was said. Like I said, he didn't take the death penalty off the table, right? He's given an extra week for what I suppose is more vetting of jurors for voir dire. But over and over again, he did take issue with the defence, calling out their motion to continue as gamesmanship. Right? He used a lot of theatrical language there, gamesmanship, tactical swordsmanship, fishing expeditions, not a scintilla of evidence. Like, he's very theatrical. But anyway, so he said that their motion to continue was gamesmanship, claiming that the defence was claiming the volume of discovery was used as a tactical sword, untethered to a seriously legitimate concern about the ability to be prepared. I wouldn't say that the defence has an untethered or serious legitimate concern about being prepared. I mean, the ultimate, if he's found guilty, Koberger will be facing the firing squad. It's, it reminds me of in Germany and other European nations where if you're in prison and you somehow manage to escape, provided you don't commit any other felonies while you're out, if they recapture you, you don't have any added time tacked on to your original sentence, because they recognise that it's human nature and human instinct to be free, right? They understand that. So it just feels a little bit spiteful, the language here, where you're punishing someone who's facing the death penalty and saying that they don't have a seriously legitimate concern of wanting to continue this trial. Of course you have a legitimate concern. You don't want to face the firing squad at the end of it if you're found guilty. And that's a very real possibility with a death penalty qualified jury. Like, it's no joke. But, like, if we just go back to what we were saying before, Hitler's in charge. He is the gatekeeper for the jury, and he's going to make sure that they get the correct narrative. That's all we can hope for. So what else? Hitler, he likes to talk big about speculation, wild speculation, rank speculation, not a scintilla of evidence here, there, and everywhere. He's 100% certain that the assailant is driving a white Elantra. right? So if that's the case, I hope we get more than just blooming headlights and grainy footage and some talk about a, a number plate, right? Because there's some very bright people who have debunked the number plate thing. That car in that footage has a number plate. So if we're talking big game about speculation, you better be double checking and triple checking all of your rulings on that, because it's all speculation right up until it isn't. Okay. What else? Yes, he's going to allow robust examination by the defense, which is great. That was probably the best part of all of the documents. And I'll just read the bit where he talks about that. He says, indeed, the Idaho Court of Appeals recently found in an unpublished opinion that questioning a detective about failing to follow up on other plausible leads was relevant to alternative perpetrator analysis. We agree with Emerson that a relevant line of inquiry would be to question the scope and breadth of the investigation and to explore on cross-examination whether plausible investigative leads about third parties were ignored or overlooked. Right? This kind of reminded me of how at the beginning of the investigation we heard about the police and their probable cause affidavit, and they were calling it a living document, right? It's almost like Hippler is affording the defense the same opportunity, because the defense conceded they didn't have all of the evidence that they needed to be able to put forward a proper third-party perpetrator thing that held up to the Meister standard there. So it's very appropriate and nice that Mr. Hippler is allowing them to flesh that out through questioning of law enforcement. They can't get too specific with names and whatnot, but they can make sure that the investigation was exhaustive, and they can probably, garner the information that they need to sort of round out their third-party perpetrator theory. Maybe. I don't know. I'm not a lawyer. I'm just guessing. So I thought that whole bit was pretty positive. What else? Oh, yeah. There was one individual who was put forward as an alternative perpetrator, and he was someone that followed one of the girls in a department store or a supermarket or something. And I just felt that was really interesting, because that was caught on camera, that whole sort of maybe following her around, maybe he wanted to talk to her. But if that was caught on camera, just imagine how many of those sort of interactions aren't caught on camera. These girls, they live their lives online. It's probably it's a warning to parents just to try and instill in their kids not to put everything out there online, because there's just too many weirdos. But anyway, that person was cleared. So, that's good. So, yeah, what else? That was about the third-party perpetrator stuff. The leak. He's tending to think that they're never going to get to the bottom of that, and he doesn't feel it's very important. He sort of walked back his whole thing about having a special investigation into the leak. Doesn't seem to be very important to him anymore. The case law that he referenced in the motion, in the response, was Shepherd, I think, which was from 1966. Dude, we're in 2025. Communication and media has changed a whole lot. I don't think a case from 1966 was appropriate. But anyway, that's that. I think I've gotten it, and I've got like 4 minutes left on my camera here. You have no idea how much technology has been bugging me today. So I hope I got all of the salient points out. I'm going to say bye to you guys now. I hope you have a lovely rest of your day and weekend, and I'll catch you next time. Bye.